Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and Pokemon fans of the world, your boy Corey, aka Crasher, here with the new video, and this is going to be a competitive guide for Armarouge. Taking a look at its typing, it is Fire Psychic, which is a rather unique and uncommon typing. However, you are going to be weak to the likes of Ground, Rock, Ghost, Water, and Dark type attacks, while resisting the likes of Fighting, Steel, Fire, Grass, Psychic, Ice, and Fairy type attacks. As for its abilities, it has access to Flash Fire, which grants you a Fire type immunity and boosts the power of your Fire type moves by 50% if you get hit with a Fire type move. Its hidden ability is Weak Armor, which will activate when you get hit with a physical move, lowering your defense stat by 1 stage, but increasing your speed stat by 2 stages. As for its stats, we see it has 85 HP, 60 attack, 100 defense, 125 special attack, 80 special defense, 75 speed. Its biggest selling point is that amazing special attack stat, which will bring the pain, no doubt about it. It also has pretty good bulk as well, which means that it is capable of taking hits when you need it to. So let's make our way to Pokemon Showdown for some set ideas you can use for Armarouge. And believe me when I say this, ladies and gentlemen, you guys are absolutely spoiled for choices. In items, in moves, you name it, baby. This Pokemon can do a lot. So the item of choice in this situation is going to be Choice Specs, which locks you into the first move you use until you switch out. However, it will grant you a special attack bonus of 50%, which is absolutely amazing. The ability in this scenario, we will be going for Flash Fire, because the Fire type immunity is rather nice, and getting that Fire type attack boost is also pretty damn sweet. As for its moves, we will be going with Armor Cannon, which is its signature move, its Fire type, its special, its base 120 power. However, the drawback is that it will lower your defense and special defense by 1 stage. However, this is going to be a really solid move that you must have on Armarouge. The next move, we will be going with Psyshock, which is a Psychic special base 80 power move that deals damage based on the physical defense of your opponent and not the special defense. So this right here is a great way to have Armarouge have a way to target either the special defense or the physical defense of its opponents. The next move I have here is Aura Sphere, which is a fighting type special base 80 power move that does not miss. Sounds pretty damn sweet, eh? And last but not least, we have ourselves Energy Ball, which is a grass type special base 90 power move with a 10% chance to lower the target's special defense by 1 stage. It's also a great way to have an answer to 3 of 5 of the types that you are weak against, that being Ground Pokemon, Rock Pokemon, and a Water Pokemon. As for the EV investment, we're going to be going all out with it by maxing out its special attack and speed, as well as giving 4 in special defense for the leftover EVs, because we want this thing to be as offensive as possible. We also will be going with a timid nature as well to further add a little bit of extra speed, because this Pokemon is going to need it in them situations. This next set here is going to be focusing on Armarouge's ability to set up its offenses. So the item of choice here in this situation is going to be a Life Orb, which is a held item that gives you a 30% boost in the power of your moves at the cost of 10% of your health. The ability, once again, is going to be Flash Fire. However, I want to make a special note that you can go with Weak Armor here, because if you were to get hit by a physical move, then your defense would be lowered by 1 stage, but your speed would be raised by 2, making you a faster sweeping setup type of Pokemon, so do keep that in mind as well. As for the moveset, we're going to be going with Calm Mind, which is the main selling point in this situation. It boosts your special attack and your special defense by 1 stage each. Next up, we have ourselves Armor Cannon, its signature move, its Fire type, its base 120 power. Who gives a damn about the drawback? It is meant to be a hard hitter, and Armor Cannon is where it's at, baby. The next move we will be using is going to be Aura Sphere, because it is also an amazing move that does not give a damn about accuracy. It is not going to miss. Period, bottom line. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be going with Shadow Ball. Really solid ghost type coverage. It is a special base 80 power move with a 20% chance to lower the target's special defense by 1 stage. And when you combine fighting offense and ghost offense, there's almost no type combination that can resist either or of those moves. And when you have Armor Cannon in the mix, whoo, baby, you are gonna be cooking. As for the EVs, once again, we will be maxing out its special attack and its speed, with 4 being left over for special defense, and once again, we will be going with timid nature. You want to have as much natural speed as possible to be able to set up, outspeed, and hopefully sweep the opposition. This next set here is going to be taking more of a defensive approach. Now, this might be a little bit more of a gimmicky sort of set, but just hang with me here. So the item of choice is going to be Leftovers, which restores 1/16 of your max HP at the end of every turn. As for the ability, we're going to go once again with Flash Fire. And as for the movesets here, this is going to be Calm Mind, which boosts the special attack and special defense by 1 stage, as stated before. Next up, we're going to be going with Iron Defense, which raises the user's physical defense by 2 stages. Next up, we're going to be going with Mystical Fire, which is a special fire-based 75 power move with a 100% chance to lower the target's special attack by 1 stage. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, we will be going with Stored Power, which is a Psychic type special-based 20 power move. But here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, is that with Stored Power, this move will increase in power the more stat boosts you have. So it gets plus 20 power for each of the user's stat boosts. So keep in mind, if you were to set up fully with Calm Mind and or Iron Defense, Stored Power is going to deal a lot of damage. As for the EV spread here, we're going to be maxing out its HP and its special defense, with 4 remaining in its physical defense, and we will be going with a Calm Nature here. You want to take full advantage of its bulk here, and it doesn't have as good special defense as it does physical defense, and Calm Mind is something that only boosts your special defense by 1 stage, whereas Iron Defense will boost your physical defense by 2 stages, so you definitely can afford to have more special defense investment than physical defense, because Iron Defense, after 1 or 2 goes, this thing is going to be a tank, no doubt about it, and this is going to be a Pokemon that I'm willing to bet is going to throw off the competition, because they're not going to be expecting a defensive setup Armarouge here. The next set is what I like to call the Trick Scarf set. So the item of choice is going to be a Choice Scarf, which boosts the user speed by 50% while locking you into the first move you select until you switch out. As for the ability, it is once again going to be Flash Fire. And moving on to the moveset, ladies and gentlemen. This is where the fun begins. So the first move we have is going to be Trick, which is going to swap your held item with the opponent's item, and this can especially be useful for crippling defensive Pokemon that simply cannot afford to be locked into one single move in order to perform its role in battle. However, do keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that Trick is not the only reason to use a Choice Scarf on Armarouge. This can also allow for Armarouge to be a speedy attacker / late game cleaner. And moving on to the next move, ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves Armor Cannon. Once again, a really solid base 120 power special fire type move. Next up, we will be going with Psyshock. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be going with Shadow Ball. Now, I also want to remind you guys that this Pokemon has access to a lot of type coverage. So depending on how your team is built, you can easily swap around your moves to better fit your coverage if needed. As for the EV spread, once again, we will be going all out with special attack and speed maxed out, with 4 in special defense, and once again, we will be going with a timid nature to have as much natural speed as possible. So this next set here is kind of a take on how you can use Armarouge in a doubles battle. So the item of choice I have here is going to be an Agave Berry, which is going to be restoring 33% of your health when you reach 25% or below of your maximum health. And depending on your nature, it will also induce confusion if you have a minus special defense nature. As for the ability, once again, is going to be Flash Fire. And moving on to its moveset, ladies and gentlemen, the first move we have is going to be Heat Wave, which is going to be targeting both of the opposing Pokemon, and it has a 10% chance to burn the opposing Pokemon. It also has a respectable base 95 power with a 90% accuracy, so the move does have a slight chance chance to miss. So moving on, ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves Expanding Force, which is a Psychic type special base 80 power move, and what I love about this move is that if you have Psychic terrain on the field, this move's power increases by 50%, which is going to be absolutely ridiculous. Now, the next move that we have is going to be Trick Room, which is going to be swapping the turn order in battles. So, if you are being outsped by your opponent, but you use Trick Room, for the next 5 turns, you will actually manage to outspeed your opponent, despite them having a higher speed stat than you, which is going to be really freaking awesome. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves a staple move in doubles known as Protect, which prevents moves from affecting the user in that turn. As for the EV spread, we're going to be maxing out its HP and special attack with 252 EVs each, with 4 in special defense, and we will be going with a quiet nature, which is going to lower the speed stat down even further, and you're going to want to at least try to have an IV of 0 in the speed stat, so that way you can take full advantage as much as possible with the effects of Trick Room. So despite all of what I've shown so far, ladies and gentlemen, Armarouge still has yet more things at its disposal when it comes to items and or moves. A fine example of this would be Heavy Duty Boots, which is an amazing item that prevents you from being affected by entry hazards on your side of the field. Another item that it can make use of would be Assault Vest, which is going to boost your special defense by 50%. However, you can only use damaging moves. And here's a few more examples of some moves that Armarouge can make use of in order to cause some shenanigans in battle, such as with Clear Smog, which is a special type poison move with base 50 power that's going to reset all of the target's stat changes to 0, which is going to be incredibly frustrating if you set up all of your offenses and all of your defenses only for them to be erased by Clear Smog. Disable is another move it has access to, which means that for 4 turns, you are able to disable the target's last move used, which can definitely be vital. You can also use Taunt as a way to break stall, where the target can't use any non-attacking moves for 3 turns. We also have ourselves Will-O-Wisp, which is going to be burning the target and also cutting the attack stat in half, which is going to be really freaking brutal for any physical attackers to deal with. Now I want to quickly touch on Terra types you can use for Armarouge. I would personally recommend the Fire Terra type for the reason that it will boost your Fire type attacks even further, which is going to make its offenses even more brutal. You could also consider giving it a Psychic Terra type as well, if you want to give more love and power to its Psychic type attacks, but I would personally recommend Fire because Armor Cannon, yeah, that shit hurts. Terra Blast is also a thing as well for Armarouge, which is a move that changes type depending on your Terra type used. If you do happen to use Terra Blast, do it in the instance that you won't be using Fire or Psychic as your Terra type. As an example of that, you could go for a Ground Terra type to give you access to Ground type coverage as well, if you really wanted to. And that, ladies and gentlemen, wraps up this competitive guide for Armarouge. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below, and how would you run Armarouge in a competitive way for Pokemon Sword and Shield? Whatever your guys' thoughts and feedback happen to be, ladies and gentlemen, I would love to hear you guys out in the comments down below. And that's it for the video, ladies and gentlemen, so I want to say thank you guys very much for watching. If you guys enjoyed, consider liking and subscribing, and especially comment your thoughts down below, because I love hearing from you guys. Always have, that will never ever change. So thank you guys again for watching, have yourself a fantastic day or night depending on your time zone, and I'll see you guys in the next one.